Welcome to the session where Dave Oshinski and myself, Brian Holuj from Department of Energy, we're going to talk a little bit about DOE's, we've got two voluntary initiatives that we felt would be of strong interest to this audience. And in looking at the lanyards that are out there, it looks like we've got a pretty decent mix of folks from the retail facility side, some manufacturers, service providers. So I'll try and keep the comments relevant for you all. But anyways, very excited to be here. The two initiatives, you see them on the screen, Better Buildings Challenge and Commercial Building Energy Alliance, two voluntary initiatives that you can get involved with. And really that's why I'm here today, is to try and sell you on the idea of getting involved, participating, and if you decide not to do that, at least consider looking into the resources that we've been developing as a team for the use by the broader commercial building sector in the United States. So with that, take a look at the Better Buildings Challenge. And I promise I only have a few slides. I saw this is supposed to be PowerPoint free, and I, as the government guy, of course, had to break that and bring slides. But only 10 here. So Better Buildings Challenge was launched in December of last year by President Obama, as well as by former President Clinton. And it was a challenge to CEOs, to university presidents, city, local government leaders, really folks that have broad portfolios of buildings. And the idea behind the challenge was that it would be a significant commitment, not only by the Department of Energy to provide technical assistance, public recognition, that sort of thing to help out in terms of reducing energy use in big building portfolios, but also on behalf of companies that own large fleets of buildings or public buildings, university campuses. So really it's an initiative that's trying to go after an entire portfolio of buildings as opposed to one building at a time. And so we've categorized the groups. The first is partners, and those are building owners and operators. And the partners have to do essentially three things. The first is to commit to an energy goal on behalf of the entire organization. This is made at the top of the food chain within the organization. So typically the CEO would say, yes, we're committing on behalf of our organization to go after this energy efficiency target in the next, say, 2 to 5 years. They have to develop a plan on how they're going to get there. It's got to be a transparent plan to show realistically what they're going to be pursuing to try to achieve those energy efficiency targets. And the last piece is to report their results. The whole reason we want to use this initiative to try and spur broader uptake is because a lot of the companies that are going to participate that have big portfolios or the big cities mean a lot to their peers. It's groups that make a splash when they do big things, and if they make a portfolio scale commitment and show transparently how they get there, the hope is that, and intent is that, the broader sector will be able to replicate that. We also have allies that are folks from the finance community as well as utilities, and they're looking at innovative products, financial products, billing services that can be provided to help these partners achieve their goals. And then again, on the DOE side, essentially it's tailored technical assistance to help with developing the plan that these companies will pursue in their portfolios, connecting the allies, the partners together, and then doing some national recognition on it, making sure word gets out about how this is being accomplished, the results that are being achieved. So here you can see a list of all of the current partners and allies, a pretty significant group. It's not meant to be for everybody. This is a big commitment, again, and I think a lot is expected. But if you've got questions about this initiative, I'm trying to just introduce it at this point. We'll have time for questions after David speaks, and then you can reach out to me offline afterward, and we can talk more about this opportunity. So the next partnership activity that I wanted to discuss is one that I manage called the Commercial Building Energy Alliance. And this is a bit of a different take, where I would say the commitment in some respects is smaller. You're not making a pledge per se, but it's a similar concept in that we have a huge group of building owners and operators that are working together. So it's interesting, you've got competitors like a Home Depot and a Lowe's, a Walmart and a Target, that are working together on the teams that you see listed here. We call them project teams because what they do essentially is projects on an ongoing basis where they've identified common barriers to energy efficiency improvements, and they're trying to pursue common solutions to those barriers. So we pair up DOE technical experts to help support this effort. On the left side in the bold, you'll see the names of the different project teams. So some of them are sort of system or widget based, and we've got a few that are on leasing issues, green leasing, training opportunities, that sort of thing, to take a broader perspective than just looking at technical solutions alone. Whoop. Go back one. So I just put this slide up. This is current retail members. And I think what's pretty potent if you look at this is 58 members, a little over 2 billion square feet. There's about 80 billion square feet of commercial floor space in the United States. So by working with just this core group of early adopters of advanced technologies, best practices, and getting them to replicate it, we feel that there's no doubt that their peers are observing what's going on, and again, the idea is that they can replicate what's being done by folks like Home Depot and others. So we want to increase this number. Our strength really is in our membership, the combined expertise of you all, that we can give a pretty, I think, potent signal that there is demand for energy efficient services, equipment, and the rest, but to be able to do it in a coordinated fashion. So I wanted to look at a couple of sample projects. That first slide I had up with the green blocks everywhere listed all of our current projects. Just wanted to point out two in particular. One was on the lighting side. We developed a parking lot lighting specification. So it was folks like Dave, Director of Engineering, Head of Construction, for the entire portfolio of buildings for these major companies. And what they did is worked with us, helped us to understand what they would need in a specification. If they wanted to use it for an RFP, what all had to be in there. And then when they issued that, it was helpful on the manufacturing side to be able to see that in a combined voice. This is something common that these folks need. Here's issues that need to be addressed. So we went beyond just the specification itself, did customer satisfaction surveys. You can see the picture on here is a Walmart store in Leavenworth, Kansas, where they really did a pilot project and were able to evaluate it and then shared their findings with their peers in the Commercial Building Energy Alliance. So it sounds too good to be true, but I'll let Dave talk a little bit more about that. But this is reality, the way this has been working out. Developed M&V guidance, have been doing case studies, webinars to get stuff out. But really the real question is, so what? I mean, has anything actually happened? And right now we're looking at a little over 400 Commercial Building Energy Alliance sites that are now utilizing this specification. And an example in the Walmart case is that for every new store they construct, they're utilizing the specification that this group worked together to develop, and there's a lot of our other members that are starting to trickle this in and use it more and more in their portfolios. So in terms of what's next, BOMA, IFMA, Green Parking Council have joined together to do a lighting campaign where they're taking the resources that the Commercial Building Energy Alliance developed and to try and deploy that within their own membership. So to us, it's a good indicator of buy-in and legitimacy as well, that so many folks are starting to adopt this and trying to spread it out to their own networks. One other quick project I wanted to mention is on rooftop unit air conditioners. These are ubiquitous, obviously, in the retailer space. And in 2010, we had an initiative where we worked with CBA members to identify desired features and performance requirements for a rooftop unit air conditioner in the roughly 10 to 20 ton range. So we issued that specification in 2011, in January of 2011 at AHR. And it was called a challenge because we knew it was technically feasible, but no product existed that could meet the specification that Alliance members said they would like to see. In May of 2012, so just a little over a month ago, we had the deadline for manufacturers to decide whether or not they would be able to participate. We worked with them, evaluated the pathways they were on to see if they would legitimately have products in the time frame that was needed. So tentatively speaking, all of them are on a good pathway right now, but they have until April 2013 to have an actual product evaluated by DOE, against the CBEA specification. CBEA means Commercial Building Energy Alliance, against that specification, and if so, that manufacturer has met the RTU challenge. They also have to have that product available for people to purchase at that point by that April deadline. So DOE's offer to the manufacturers, these are sort of the carrots, but we'll do the evaluation of the product, so it's sort of a neutral view on whether or not it's met the spec. Putting the test data that comes out of the evaluation of their equipment into decision tools, modeling tools that end users or potential clients could use to evaluate that type of equipment. Field demonstrations, and then public recognition as well. And I think the big piece that really resonates with the manufacturers is going to be on the potential customer side. So who from the Commercial Building Energy Alliance helped announce this? It was, of course, Dave and many other folks, but these are some names here, some logos that you'll see here that require huge amounts of RTUs. So when they say we all in a sort of common fashion have a desire for this type of performance, I think it makes a difference. So at the end of all this, again, what was the response? Did it make a difference? Well, I was happy to announce at an event that we had a few weeks back that we have 5 participating manufacturers. Some well-known names here. 7AC Technologies is more of a startup at this point, but they seem to be on a pathway as well, along with the other companies listed here. And the really big news is that the one you see in the center, Daikin McQuay, they have a Rebel unit that they released, a new product that we evaluated and confirmed that it met the RTU challenge. So again, just a year and a half ago, no products existed that could even do this. There's now one out there in the marketplace. So an event where we did this big announcement, an opportunity for us to convene the members. We do this once a year called the Efficiency Forum. It is an opportunity to do that kind of recognition, but the biggest thing is it's also an opportunity to vet the projects that we're doing. Are they going in the right direction? We can have manufacturers, service providers at the table to talk with us about their take on the specifications that are developed, training modules, whatever it is that we're pursuing. In the lower left corner, you can see the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Energy for Efficiency and the head of the National Renewable Energy Laboratory recognizing C. Van Persum, a representative from Daikin McQuay. So that's, again, just sort of the approach we've taken to try and get folks together to really move key energy efficiency opportunities along. So with that, again, I'd encourage you to get involved. This is just a high-level overview. A lot more information on the website. Websites are only so good, so feel free to contact me, give me a call, shoot me an email, stop me afterward, and we can chat more. And we should have a few minutes for questions at the end of this. With that, I'd like to introduce David Oshinski. He's the corporate director for construction for Home Depot. I've known David for 3 years. He's been very integral with the Commercial Building Energy Alliance, and I think he'll give you some excellent insights from an Alliance member's perspective on how this all works. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
All right. Can you hear me on there? I just want to give our perspective of being a member of this alliance. I know there's a lot of retailers out here in the audience. Kind of give you an idea of what participation we've done in this project. I've been on the steering committee since this has started, and Brian's predecessor started this actually, so I've been in this, I don't know, when did they start this? About 5 years ago or something like that?
Just about 3 years.
Right. One of the committees that I'm on also is the lighting and electrical. I participate in those, the space conditioning, and the plug and process loads committees. Now, being a part of the Energy Alliance, it doesn't have that much of a time commitment, but it has a lot of benefits to it. I mean, what we have is typically quarterly phone calls on these committees, whatever kind of committee that you're interested in for your company, if you want it's lighting, if it's refrigeration. The committees are made up of all different types of people. There's restaurant people in there, there's retailers in there. Whatever interests they have specialty-wise, it's on these committees, and they're done by phone calls or WebExes. So There may be an hour-and-a-half phone call every quarter on each of these committees. There's usually a meeting about twice a year it's not mandatory to go to, it's optional. The last meeting was at NREL in Colorado, where they have the net zero building and they have their facility out there. Excellent place to visit if you've never seen the project or been there. That's where they test air conditioning units, they test solar there. Once you get into the Retail Energy Alliance, you will learn so many different things. Brian was talking about the competitors. Being on these committees, I've done phone calls with the Lowe's guys, with Target, Walmart, all these different retailers, and if I wouldn't have been a member of these committees, I wouldn't have got all this information out there. But I mean, it is fabulous to be on these committees and learn things from your competitors, from other retailers, what they're doing. How I looked at this process, and I'm talking about where you learn sustainable things from, and it's kind of like, I figure it's like a target or like circles. In the center circle, it's what you read and what you get from vendors that come to your office. You learn certain things. The next circle out are conferences, trade shows, just like we're at here. But then the third circle out are belonging to like the Retail Energy Alliance. You've got to join groups like this to get this extra knowledge and extra information. You just can't get it by sitting at your desk, and like the time commitment, like I said, is so minimal to belong to this, and then you get so much out of it. One of the things that we got out of this is, prior to the Better Buildings Challenge, there was a project called the Commercial Building Partnership, and we signed up for the Commercial Building Partnership. Was another big project that the DOE had, and basically that's a 3-year commitment. And what it is they would monitor some of our existing stores for like 9 months to a year. We would design a new prototype, and the goal was to be 50% more energy efficient than the ASHRAE 2007 code. And we also, in this process, created our prototype in Rivet so we could do energy modeling. Without the partnership with the DOE, we'd have never done it. How many of your leadership groups would let you spend the money to do this? But the DOE helped fund this through a grant they had. And here's some of the results of it. We just opened the store in April. We've got some projected savings of what we figured we could get out of this. And as you can see, we're testing LED lights in our in-racks. We changed some of our batteries. We changed some of our lighting. And a lot of these ideas came from being on the Retail Energy Alliance and ideas from our partners, listening to competitors. And part of the take back too is we are picking through the things in this model on what we can do on our existing stores. There's certain things that look to be very successful that we're going to start rolling out backwards to save energy on our existing stores. And then going forward, we're going to use this model on our new prototypes. And our estimated annual savings are about $117,000 a year in energy cost reduction, which is huge. It would be great if, I know the economy is a little bit slower than it used to be, but when we were building 200 stores a year, this would have been fabulous. But we would have never known about it if we weren't a part of the group like the Retail Energy Alliance. And like Brian said, if you have any questions about anything or need any information, I'd be glad to answer it. Like I said, it doesn't take much commitment to belong to this, but the information that you get by belonging to the Retail Energy Alliance is fabulous. I mean, when you sit on a conference call and you're talking with competitors and they're talking about we're testing this light or this and that, you're writing them down as fast as they can say them because you want to try it and look at it for your projects too. But reducing energy is a huge thing for the future for our company, and it's a big goal for us. And we want to reduce energy in our existing footprint. I know we're not building that many stores. One of the other things, and I forgot to mention it earlier, is we are building a lot of distribution centers. We've rolled a lot of these things out into our distribution centers too to save energy. So it's a great group to belong to. Get with Brian or ask me we can tell you how to get involved in this, but there's a lot of learnings here.
So why don't we just open up the floor for questions? I guess pretty informal here. You can just either blurt them out or whatever you prefer, or raise your hand, I suppose. Sir?
I have a question. Is there any collaboration between the DOE and the EPA
Yeah.
as far as the programs? Because some of it seems to be kind of on a parallel track.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a great question. So it's actually interesting. A lot of the folks that are on our team have done joint work with EPA or were former EPA. I mean, there's a lot of collaboration, but what this means for you guys is that, for example, what came out of that efficiency forum meeting that we had was a project to start to be able to do benchmarking of restaurant facilities, which wasn't in Portfolio Manager. And what was nice was that in the Commercial Building Energy Alliance, we had enough scale, we had the type of committed members, like a Boston Market or McDonald's that are involved, and they will provide the type of data that's needed for Energy Plus, or excuse me, for Energy Star to be able to develop that and hopefully get on a path towards having a certification as well. That is one example of many things that we're doing. Another one is to streamline all cost calculators between our program, what we have developed, and what Energy Star has developed for any Energy Star products. And so it's an important resource. We've got one, for example, for the rooftop unit challenge, where we developed a cost calculator quite a bit more robust than what had existed before, and we're going to utilize that between the two programs. So they're much more on the sort of voluntary. You've got the labeling side, you've got the benchmarking side, and so it definitely dovetails in, and they're also members of the Alliance. So they're on the same calls. We've got folks from the General Services Administration, which is the federal government's property management organization for the whole federal building fleet. So they're involved. So you can see interesting things from their perspective because they, in some respects, can be a lot more transparent. It's not, business competitive information, so they can do demonstrations and things and just tell everybody, well, here's exactly what we found. So we do have other government involvement in there as well. DOD is another big one. It's close to lunch, I know. Please.
For Home Depot, has being involved in this helped make a better business case for implementing energy efficiency projects versus prior to being involved?
Oh, definitely has. I mean, although our CEO, Frank Blake, a long time ago used to work in the Department of Energy, so he's well aware of that, but we made presentations to the executive committee of what we're doing. In fact, the Lodi project, they're well aware of. We've got a lot of great publicity out of it. I mean, when we first announced this project, 60 newspapers picked this up that we were doing this project. So it has helped us a lot. I'm just an offshoot of, I was talking to Brian earlier about how this has really changed the market is just recently Walmart had their sustainability meeting in Bentonville, Arkansas. They invited us to it. Target was there. All kinds of retailers were. I mean, you're talking about their competition going to their sustainability meeting, but this group helped facilitate that, so.
Yeah, it was another case in point of, that same sort of approach was that 2 years ago we had our meeting of the, we called it our steering committee for the retailers, and it was hosted by Target at their headquarters. They took us through the store, and their engineers, refrigeration folks, are talking to the refrigeration folks from all their competitors, telling them what they've done, what worked, what didn't work, so it's real. So this is, in addition to what goes on beyond the projects alone, I think what's nice is that DOE in its sort of role is able to help to get this kind of a group together and provide a sort of neutral platform for them to be able to engage in this sort of way. The one thing I wanted to add too, just onto a point that was made earlier, in terms of a commitment, it's not that we're just trying to go out and just help people do one-off projects. What DOE requires in return for the services provided or the assistance for all these efficiency measures is reporting back from the companies on their success with their implementation. And that's where I got the number of 400 sites using the lighting, but also the case studies to go around that there is an expectation that the alliance members will report back enough information so that their peers can then go out and do the exact same thing. So they get to be the early adopter, but hopefully they're enabling a much bigger adoption out there in the marketplace. Ma'am?
Information on smaller footprints, say if you have like 5,000, 10,000 square feet. And
Sure.
Yeah. They've done modeling on that too, like the modeling he was talking about, like for the space conditioning. They've done small models, big models, everything. You can request that once you get it, to know who the players are.
So one of the things I would add to that is that if you look at the members, you've got, say, a Starbucks, and you look at the size of a Starbucks. I mean, some of these are franchisee models. Some of them are, it's a hotel like a Marriott that has a lot of the facilities are not owned by corporate, but they do have some impact on the design choices and all that. It really runs the gambit. And again, if you look at the breadth of the membership, you see just about everything in there. We've even got a really small shoe store chain. I think the guy owns 3 or 4 shoe stores who's involved as well and has gotten a lot out of it. He's been in there since day one. That being said, it's hard to find the right balance. I mean, all these companies are different. They have to make a different business case. So like the lighting specification, well, great, Walmart runs its lights all night. And that's not relevant for a Target or maybe a Home Depot that has to shut it off. So working on helping to make that business case is an important part of what we do. Yeah, so I think timing is out. We're getting pulled off the stage.
Right.
So appreciate your time, and I
Appreciate
look forward to catching up with you afterwards.
If you have any questions, come and see us.